Hi, so today, 2021 Evangelho from Ridge Vineyards. I wanted to talk about this wine today because not only is it one of my favorite wines to make, it's one of my favorite to drink. And I'll tell you why. It's got very unique characters and it comes from a very unique growing place. So I thought it would be fun to talk about this wine today. So first of all, this wine is made of some interesting varietals. It is 100% old vine field blend. This wine is made from 58% Carignan, 22% Zinfandel, and 20% Mataro. It comes from a very interesting area, Contra Costa County, which just so happens to lie on the Sacramento River Delta. So the soils in that area are very unique in that they are literally pure sand. So you see these old vines growing out of sand, and it's really something to behold. It's very different. And then with that area comes these really high winds, very windy conditions. And so you have to imagine sand and wind, that combination with the fact that it gets very warm out there, it really ripens these grapes very quickly. So it's it's actually the first wine to come in for the entire year. And even in front of our white varietals that we make here. So kind of unusual for a red to come in before any whites, but the reason is the water just really goes straight through that sand, and then the wind dehydrates the vines, and so it really pushes it to early ripeness. I want to give you some descriptors of this wine, but first I want you to know that this wine is 100% hand-picked because it's old vine. It's hard to get anything else in there because you're talking about these head-trained vines that are very bushy, so each picker has to really get in there and search for the fruit. They're very bushy vines, so we don't want to leave any behind. It's 100% native ferment and 100% native malolactic, so true indigenous yeast coming from the field. One of the reasons why I love drinking this wine is because of where it is. It has some very unique profiles coming from the Carignan mostly, since it is the greatest percentage of varietal in here. And what Carignan does to this wine is gives it a really fresh, popping red fruit profile. You really get this beautiful red plum, rhubarb. There's a bit of earthiness coming from the Carignan. The Mataro gives it a little bit of richness, and the Zinfandel in the blend gives it this really beautiful fruit profile. Now the barrel program on this wine is such that we do not use any new oak on this one, which is unique for us. We usually have some percentage of new oak depending on the program, but zero in this. And the thought process on that is that we really want to keep the fruit forward in this wine, especially with that red popping Carignan, that freshness. So what we do is we use 100% American oak on this wine, of which mostly, I'd say about 65% is 3-year-old oak, and then a spattering of 2-year-old and 1-year-old oak. And we really find that for this particular wine, it's the way to go to keep that fruit forward and really give concentrated, pure fruit flavors. This wine always has this really rustic tannin, I call it. It's like a wide grain tannin that really coats the entire palate. And what this does is it makes it a very food friendly wine. Yes, sure, you can sip it, it's beautiful, but I find with food it really lifts those interesting characteristics in those varietals and complements food very, very well. Tasting this today, it's absolutely stunning. It's ready to go. I would drink it upon release. But I also know, just because of those rustic tannins, this thing will lay down for at least 8 more years. So I hope you enjoy it. Cheers.